If the roads of Great Britain are its arteries, then the police are utterly reliant on the car pounds to make sure that everything is flowing as it should be.
Typically in a day, you'll get, overnight you'll have RTCs and uninsureds and no tax come in, and then the hope is that during the day you will get more go out than came in overnight, which is very rare at the minute. They are either hours early or hours late. It's very rare they're on time. It's very rare that people keep their appointments, you know, perfect. If they come in on time, we're lucky.
And while some vehicles outstay their welcome, others won't even get picked up at all.
Whether it's a stolen recovered vehicle that's in one piece, or whether it's a stolen vehicle that they've stolen and driven to the point of being written off, you know, we see the whole spectrum, you know, we see everything.
And with the car pound already full, today looks like another busy day at CMG. This time, it's driver Matt who's sent out to recover not one, but multiple vehicles.
We're steady with police jobs most days through the week. On average, I'll probably do about 4 to 5 police jobs a shift.
For operatives like Matt, the first job of the day often involves picking up vehicles targeted by thieves the night before.
Sometimes it can be a case of people going out and robbing multiple cars throughout the night and bringing them back for parts. So it varies what they're for.
It's been a busy night.
We've just been sent 6 jobs by Northamptonshire police. They've attended to a property and found 6 motorbikes at the address. So we're just on our way out there now. We'll go have a chat with the officers and see what they want to do with it all.
Matt's extensive experience in recovery will be invaluable.
Been here in total for 6 years now. I knew a friend who worked from originally in the heavy department. Seen a few jobs he was up to. I used to do a bit of banger racing, so I was around a bit of the recovery trucks and thought I'd give it a try. That's something a bit different for a minute. Not every day you get 6 at once. It looks like they've got them all stacked up outside waiting for us. So we're just getting photographs of everything before we start moving anything. Obviously when they're in our care, any damage that we cause we're liable for, so we just make sure we get everything that's already damaged. You've got a pretty much brand new KTM there. That's probably best part of 6, 7, 8, 9 grand. Someone will be glad to get it back.
They'll also be in the minority, as only 16% of stolen motorbikes are reunited with their owners.
Now they'll go to the SOCO facility. The software examiners will come out, they'll identify each vehicle, they'll then do some fingerprinting, some DNA swabs. All right, we look good to go.
The bikes might be safe on the back of the truck, but that doesn't mean that Matt is. Attacks on car pound workers aren't unheard of, and with 6 quality motorbikes on board, Matt is a potential target for abuse.
There was a few people hanging around near the property, giving the officers a bit of trouble when they first turned up, so they're just hanging around just to give us a bit of cover, make sure no one comes up and starts. Now we've got hold of the bikes.
Matt's looking forward to reuniting these motorbikes and mopeds with their owners. But that relies on him and the wheels getting back to base safely.
Police are meant to stay around for our protection, and obviously the last thing they want is a phone call saying the bikes have been stolen off us.
The number of commercial vehicles in the UK has hit a historic high. There are nearly 5.5 million vans, trucks, coaches, buses and lorries thundering along our roads, and they all need policing. Commercial accidents are rare, which is just as well, because when these big boys crash, it isn't just a problem for the public and the police. Car pounds also have their work cut out. So today's operation in Rothwell, Northamptonshire, is aimed fairly and squarely at preventing just that.
If there's any ropey-looking vans, or there's any unmarked, dodgy-looking lorries, we'll have them in as well.
Today, Northants police are out in force. In their crosshairs, working vehicles. As well as the car pounds, the police have also teamed up with the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency for Operation Methane. And together, they're carrying out random checks on commercial vehicles along the A14.
Probably going to be here for about 20 minutes, half hour, bud. How are you doing on your tachoed?
Linking the port of Felixstowe to the M1, this 130-mile stretch is crammed with commercial traffic.
Is everybody happy? If you guys want to shoot out, start bringing stuff in, we'll get running straight away.
If today's operation finds any vehicles that aren't roadworthy, they'll be towed, no matter how big. And with around 16% more working vehicles than the national average, it isn't long before a truck suspected of carrying excess weight is pulled over for inspection. The weigh-in reveals there's a problem.
And this is an overweight prohibition notice. So what this says is that the vehicle's now prohibited from going on a public highway until the excess weight has been removed. And as you can see from this, you've got an excess of 500 kilos. So what you need to do is take 500 kilos of the stuff off the back and transfer that onto another vehicle. Then what we'll do is we'll re-weigh you, make sure that all your weights are within the permitted tolerances, and after that I can remove the prohibition and you'll be allowed to continue with it on your way.
Scrap metal can be a nice little earner, so this driver has a lot to lose.
Have you got any questions?
I can't get it done today.
Unfortunately, the prohibition stays in force until the excess weight comes off.
So I'll have to stay here.
Yeah. And by the end of the day, if the vehicle, if the excess weight hasn't been removed, by the end of the day or the end of the check, the vehicle gets immobilised. I'll leave you to sort all that out, but when you're ready, when you think you've got enough off, give me a shout, we'll come back and reweigh it for you.
I'll see you all day, won't I?
The excess weight, to get it down within tolerances of what the vehicle's allowed to carry. Once they've done that, we'll reweigh the vehicle, we can release the prohibition and they can be on their way.
What do you reckon? That's enough?
Excess weight stuff.
The excess weight the vehicle was carrying could have caused instability or loss of control of the vehicle, potentially leading to a serious incident. So the driver won't be allowed to leave till his vehicle is road legal. In Rothwell, Northamptonshire, the driver of a vehicle carrying excess weight thinks he might have shed enough to be on his way.
It's not good enough, isn't it?
Drivers of grossly overweight vehicles that pose a threat to other road users can be charged with using a vehicle in a dangerous condition, an offence that could lead to prosecution and endorsement points. Happily, this driver doesn't fall into that category. And following a second weigh-in, he's hoping to be on his way.
1060.
1160 and 1060, so that's 2220. Another 280 to come off.
Not quite there yet.
He's about halfway through taking off what he needs to at the moment. Taking off about 220, 230 kilos. He's now taking some more off. And then when he's done that, we'll weigh him as many times as necessary to make sure that he's legal to go out on the public highway again. The legal weight for this is 3.5 tonnes, so 3,500 kilos in total. So as long as he doesn't exceed that, he's good to go.
Quite a few of the drivers pulled over today need to call on friends for help. But being a good Samaritan can have its downsides.
I'm trying to get someone to come down with another van, but obviously they don't want to come down here because obviously in case they check their van. So so I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm stuck.
Officers calibrate the weight of the vehicle by driving it onto weigh pads.
So left-hand rear axle is 1,020.
Yeah.
And your right-hand axle 1,040, so that's 2060 on the rear.
2, 3, 5, 620.
3620. So another 120 kilos to come off. Okay. Nearly there. 120 kilos more. Yeah. Yes.
It's always those last 120 kilos that are hardest to shift.
Yeah, with them two, that should definitely do it.
So we've reweighed yours, and it is now back within the limits.
Yeah.
So that's a removal of the overweight prohibition. Right. So that once you've got the tyre fixed, should be good to go.
Good to go, yeah.
All right.
All right, that's great.
No worries at all. Thank you very much for getting it sorted quickly.
Yep.
The driver has cooperated fully, but this violation has cost him dear.
Not good because a lot of people have had to pick up from today, and I'm not going to get there now. so I'm losing a day's work and money what I could be out earning. I've had to pay on a fine.
It's all go at Rothwell Services. As one newly legal vehicle leaves, another, very unusual load is pulled over for inspection.
I've not had one of these before where the driver pops his little card up at the window
And now cops have randomly stopped a vehicle with 11 tons of explosive on board.
Because of the nature of the load that it's carrying, so it's carrying explosives, the driver won't necessarily interact with us directly, so he's produced a card at the window. He's just going through the motions that he needs to go through.
In a rare turn of events, the driver is checking that the police are legit, and he won't even talk to them until he's satisfied that they are who they say they are. The police are impressed that the driver has stuck rigidly to exactly the right protocols for his hazardous load, and they're relieved when his company finally gives him the all-clear to cooperate. If this amount of explosive isn't carried properly, it could cause a major incident or a major headache for the car pounds.
Most people driving down the roads, going about their everyday business, don't realise they could be alongside a vehicle carrying quite dangerous chemicals. You know, everything gets transported by our roads, so yeah, they could be literally driving past anything from, just general fuel to explosives.
With the driver finally opening his cab, it's the police's turn to ask the questions.
Doing operations today, so my name's Andy. Just going to do a few checks as part of our ADR month.
Yep.
Get you through as quick as we can, get you back on the road, okay? Okay. Part of this is we'll be checking your documents, your load, first aid, and your tachograph.
Right.
All right. So
okay, no problem.
you get hit with loads of questions, so bear with us, all right?
His load, according to the sign, is Category 1 explosive.
So it could be fireworks, it could be things used in the military or in excavation, anything like that. It could be anything. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of different things.
With the cops now able to interact with the driver, they can inspect the load and check that everything is above board, which thankfully it is. Back in Northampton, and thanks to a police escort, Matt, the motorbikes and mopeds have made it back to CMG safely.
Yeah, well, we left with 6. We've still got 6. None of them seem to have moved. All the straps are still nice and tight.
The first owner, Luke, arrives, having been contacted by CMG to tell him his recovered bike is ready for collection.
Hopefully I can get back to work tomorrow on it. But yeah, I'm happy.
He thinks this is good news.
There's quite a bit of damage. Like, they took my old phone holder. Also got marks on the screen, but the bars or not, it looks a bit bent, because there's no way that should be like that. So it's definitely been dropped, or they've moved the bars. Got marks on there, but I think it's going to be quite expensive.
Luke was hoping to ride the motorbike out of CMG today.
Quote, they've took my number plate as well. Don't know if I can drive it with without a rear number plate, that's the only issue.
People are attached because, like we said, it's their independence, their freedom. It's an extension of your home, because you spend as much time driving, in some cases, as you do sitting on your sofa in the front room. So when someone breaks into your house, steals your keys, it is a violation, and we see it all the time.
For the next pair who turn up to collect their bikes, Nico and Marion, their wheels are their world.
We are housemate. Our job, we are delivery riders, both of them. We are using the mopeds to earn money.
The mopeds were secured outside their house.
He wake up in the morning, he checked the moped. The moped was not there. He found just the lock, cut it, yeah.
3 motorbikes are stolen every hour in the UK. It's a stat that Marion knows all about.
For him, it's second time in 2 months. Yeah, it's second moped already. He bought it like three weeks or something like this, and after 3 weeks, someone stole it.
If you pass your test, it is your independence. It quickly becomes your greater independence. You're off doing this and whatever you want to do. You're not restricted by jumping on a bus or getting in a taxi.
We are happy to see our bikes again. So we found on it little damages, but they are working, still working, yeah. We're gonna pay the recovery fee, and we have to pay as well like £10 for each day. Still not too bad.
In 2021, we Brits drove 297.6 billion miles. That's over 62,000 trips to the moon and back. Policing those miles and towing cars that shouldn't be making them takes teamwork. And the dynamic duo keeping us roadworthy, cops and car pounds. Today, they're working like a well-oiled machine on the A14. So far, police and DVSA inspections on commercial vehicles have led to warnings and seizures. PC Rob is on the team responsible for escorting commercial vehicles from the road to the test site.
Any one of those logs could just fly off the top of that trailer. It needs some netting over the top, so we'll just take that one in and see what the team have got to say about that. Rob to the site, I've got a Range Rover and trailer coming in. The contents of the trailer are not sufficiently secured as far as I'm aware.
Stop time, mate.
9:44. I'm interested just about the safety of the load. It's got no netting over there and logs quite high, so
So the interceptors brought in a Range Rover towing this trailer. What they saw was the fact that it's got an insecure load. It also has a broken back tail light. Spoke to the driver. It's just logs for his wood burner, so it's personal use. However, he does need to have the trailer covered. So if one of those logs were to fall out through a pothole, it potentially could kill somebody at anything over 30 miles an hour. So he's gone away to get a cover. We've prohibited the trailer. He's managed to unhitch it. He's gone to get a cover and a new lens for the trailer, and then he'll be good to go.
Andy reckons the logs were an accident waiting to happen.
I always say to drivers, certainly for loads like this where I can pick them up, if I was to throw this at you as hard as I could, will it hurt you? And if the answer is yes, it will, then that's what a pedestrian's going to get when it comes out of his trailer.
Driver and pedestrian safety are the main aims of Operation Methane. And so getting this load secured and this driver properly educated can be seen as a success.
It's a good way.
Today, Rothwell Services in Northamptonshire has become something of a temporary car pound. It isn't long before another commercial vehicle comes onto the team's radar. And if an inspection proves that not everything is above board, this vehicle will be taken to a more permanent car pound until it can be made road legal.
Well, no, they're doing the job, aren't they, I suppose? The trade plate's in the wrong place, so they've pulled it over to have a check of everything.
So officers have seen this out on the road. They were concerned with the vehicle of the trailer not having a back number plate on. So they've brought it into the check site. On bringing it in, the actual vehicle that's doing the towing has got a trade plate on the front of it. That is for using the vehicle so that there's no tax on it. The vehicle's also got no MOT, and the driver thought that the trade plate covered the no MOT aspect, but unfortunately it doesn't. The MOT went out in November 2020, so it's a little bit out, shall we say. So DVSA are going to go around and have a look at it mechanically and check to see what defects, if there's anything on it, and then we'll decide what we're going to do with it once all those checks have been done. Might look at needing to seize it.
The DVSA soon discover that the parking brake on the trailer doesn't work and put a prohibition notice on it. This means it can't be used until the brake is fixed. With tax, MOT and brake issues on the table, this driver risks fines, penalty points and a trip to the car pound. Much depends on whether his offence was a one-off or a regular occurrence.
When was this last used, bud?
It's not used.
It's not used at all? So whose is that?
How often the Shogun's driven will play a big part in how the police proceed. So Dave turns detective and checks the Mitsubishi's recent movements using automatic number plate recognition data.
Okay, Dex, so we've run it through ANPR. I'm taking a little bit of what he says. So we've got
18th of January, the trade plate is attached to the front of the vehicle. 24th of January, it's attached to the front of the vehicle and it's towing the trailer with a different car on. Reeds carry on 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th of January. And then there's Reeds yesterday and today.
There's 11 hits.
And those 11 hits may well get his car seized and impounded.
So we've checked ANPR, and this has been moving about quite a lot in the last month.
Yeah?
Yeah, so you're saying you haven't used it for a year, but it's hit.
With ANPR, there's nowhere to hide.
I've used it a couple of times, but honestly, just...
So you still would have known you had no MOT for it then?
Yeah, I thought it was MOT, to be honest.
Because we checked the ANPR
I can only put
cameras.
my hands up to the fact it's not MOT. There's no arguing the fact, but obviously, being in the trade for 30 years, I know it's all right. You know what I mean? But that's not the ministry, obviously. But do you know what I mean? I'm not putting my kids in it or something like that.
That old flannel won't wash on Operation Methane.
You're still using it on a road. It hasn't been serviced, hasn't been MOT'd for 2 years.
The Shogun has made multiple journeys with no MOT.
People are very ignorant to the laws of the roads. They don't understand exactly what they need to be able to drive on our country's roads. When I first started, it used to irritate me. It's part and parcel of the job now. I just sort of get on with it. The only thing we can do is assist the police in making sure they come off the road.
I appreciate you're not putting your kids and stuff in it, Brad, but the thing is you're still driving it on a road where there is people with kids in cars, the trailer and everything else. If something was to go wrong, even through no fault of your own, the vehicles shouldn't be on the road.
We are going to be seizing the car.
The whole lot's going, because you prohibition with the trailer, with recovery for the lot, that's all going to go. You'll need to contact Crouches. We'll give you the contact details as to how to contact them, and then you can make arrangements with them. Obviously, because of the defect that's with the trailer, that's prohibited. So you're going to have to either get that repaired at Crouches, or you're going to have to get a recovery truck or do something to get it brought back.
Following the vehicle's seizure, the owner later paid all fees and collected his truck, saving it from the crusher. In Manchester, the team at Charles Wilson have been messing around with motors in one way or another for nearly 90 years. Part of this family-run business is dedicated to keeping cars on the road, but the Pound guys specialise in getting cars off the road. And today, Gary, aka Little Legs, has been called out to recover a recovery truck. It's been seized in a crackdown on vehicles and drivers that have come onto the police's radar. Gary's already impounded a Ford Focus today. Now he needs to tow a tow truck.
Going back to the op for my second vehicle, which is an IV called Daily recovery truck. It doesn't surprise me at all I'm picking another recovery truck up at all. Here we go.
Gary checks in with the police, who seized it on suspicion of having no insurance, and picks up the keys.
It's got the fob in the side, so that's that. So you've got to put that in with the fob right next to it.
Right, yeah, it's one of them.
The truck's owner will need to pay not only for the tow, but for every day it's in storage. To an outsider, driving it on looks like the way to go. But if you're a pro, there's so much more to consider.
I always like to winch these on. You've got more control over it. Plus, you can see if the back end scrapes on the floor or not. It's a lot easier doing it this way with these type of vehicles. If you drive them straight on, you can catch the back end, pull the rear lights off, and do damage to the back end of it this way. You've got more control to see if it actually scrapes or not. Right, get a piece of wood. Right, I'm putting a piece of wood under the back end to stop it from dragging on the tarmac. At least it'll drag on the wood. Right, here we go.
Despite his best efforts,
It's dragging a little bit. But not as much as what it would.
Rather than drive the truck into position, Gary winches the beaver tail onto the Charles Wilson truck, as this is the safer option.
Raise it up slightly. There we go.
And then, little by little,
right, that's clear. Perfect.
He gets it snugly into place.
And there we go.
Almost balletic, Gary.
Always strap it down properly, otherwise the last thing you need.
The owner of this truck will have 14 days to pick it up before it's disposed of.
Right, one more. There we go, another happy customer. And just make sure it's tight. Yep, that's adequate.
Gary lets the cops know that the recovery truck is heading back to the pound.
It's Gary from Charles Wilson's. I'm a IV code daily transporter on this up. All clear on that, mate. Alright, fella. They're still here, but they seem to think it might get rained off a bit.
And it's not just the rain that Little Legs has to deal with. In the life of a recovery driver, there is the odd, rather unpleasant moment.
Some people spit at us, slag us off, abuse us, but at the end of the day, you know, it's a job to us. We're getting paid for it. Some jobs we don't like because you have to think of the customer. If you were in the same situation, you'd be irate. So you've got to think of it both ways. You're taking it, and you've got to think of their situation. But you do get abused on this job. You get called all names under the sun. But we didn't do it, who would?
As he nears the pound, Gary begins to think about unloading the beaver tail.
Yeah, getting it off, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than what I did getting it on. When it comes off, you've got the weight of the vehicle pulling it off. It makes it, I used one piece of wood to get it on. I could probably use 2 or 3 to get it off now. There we go.
If an owner does turn up for this recovery truck, he'll expect it to be undamaged. Gary needs to be on his A game to head off any complaints. Defective vehicles account for around 2% of all road accidents. It's a reassuringly low number, kept in check by car MOTs, annual tests for larger vehicles, and enforcement operations that help get unroadworthy vehicles temporarily grounded or impounded. Operation Methane is a rare opportunity to test every aspect of commercial vehicle safety.
So most tankers have an emergency number written on the side so that you can call them in an event of emergency, and they can give you advice on how to handle whatever substance it is they've got on board as best you can. Any member of the public or emergency service should be able to phone that number and get the advice. So we're just going to test the number just to make sure it goes through to the correct person. We get the advice we need and make sure that they're compliant with all the ADR regulations.
It's vitally important to make sure that in the event of a real accident, the police can pass on any relevant information as swiftly as possible to the trusted car pounds.
They like to have us out doing the jobs for them. We will do whatever we can to assist them in all the jobs. We do the RTCs where they need specialist equipment and specialist operators to do it.
Please hold the line.
It may seem like an awful practical joke, but to simulate a real-world scenario, Officer Rideout pretends the company's tanker has been involved in an accident.
Hello, I'm currently with one of your tankers that's been involved in an accident. Would you be able to provide me with some emergency information, please? So, the tanker's been involved in a collision, and we just need some advice as to how to handle the substance that's inside of it.
Right, okay.
Yes.
The pair exchange key details.
Yes, it is, yeah. Yeah, the driver's here. He's talking to police. We're at Rothwell service station. Is there something I should be doing with it?
Now that she's had a chance to assess their response, PC Rideout comes clean.
My name's PC Rideout. I'm calling from Northampton Police. This is actually a test call just to test the emergency number on the side of the tanker. So the tanker is absolutely fine, just to confirm with you. We're just making sure that, that the numbers are compliant and giving us the advice we need.
In terms of the spillage.
Chemical incidents on UK roads are rare. Even so, organisations that transport them are obliged to have emergency plans and excellent communications.
Obviously, you know, it's taken a little while to get some information from you as to what we actually need to do with the spillage and actually what substance is on board. So, is there any reason that that's taken a bit of time?
Thank you for answering, and obviously
You've complied in the fact that it's answered and obviously not been passed on. So they're a bit slow. So if I was a member of the public and could see something spilling out of the tanker and called them for advice, you know, initially the advice should be stay away from whatever substance it is. Then always ring emergency services. So he is compliant. He's answered the phone. He's given some advice, but it's just been quite slow in trying to get that from him. And if I was a member of the public that didn't know what to do from the outset, it would have been quite difficult to actually know what to do, what's the right thing to do.
It's important to stay vigilant, but luckily, it's a good outcome this time. At the Charles Wilson Pound, Gary is unloading a recovery truck seized by the police for a suspected uninsured driver. He's using every trick in the book to make sure the vehicle gets off his truck without a scratch.
Basically, I'm going to do the same in reverse than what I did when I went forward. Put a piece of wood under the back end to make sure it doesn't scrape on the floor again. There we go.
Bingo. All those years of experience pay off.
Easier than I thought.
Nicely done.
Right. I'm just releasing the winch and the chain.
A very quick and efficient turnaround.
And there you go.
It's just as well, because Gary's got yet more rainy day recoveries to fetch.
Right, back to the operation now. Got another one.
Gary's still got his recovery truck, but the owner of this Iveco needs to hotfoot it to the pound, as its rescue days are numbered. 14 to be precise. After that, it may end up in the crusher. In Northamptonshire, the 6 suspected stolen bikes are finally finding their way back to their owners. And today, Dale is delivering one of them to Leicester.
It's nice to see their reaction when they get it back, knowing that they've got the possession back. It's the same as if you lose something, it's, you know, you want it back because you get either attached to it or it's your transport to and from work.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Let's drop off the mopeds.
Ah, thank you.
Lovely.
The bike is very precious to owner Teeny. So precious that she's given it a name, Vivian.
Oh, she's all scratched up and stuff. I've wanted a bike for so long. I've always loved biking. My partner bikes, we both love it. It's really, really sad because I've not even had it that long. She's only 5 months, but you know, it's sad that these things happen.
Unlike most mopeds, Vivian was stolen in broad daylight.
Went to go shopping, got off my bike, I locked it up, put the chain on, went into the shop. When I'd come out of the shop, like I'd looked where I put my bike and then it wasn't there.
A customer who clocked the theft broke the news to Teeny, who's still reeling.
It's quite shocked still, and it still doesn't feel real having her back here now. Having my Vivian back, like it's really, really weird.
It's been expensive and emotional.
To get her delivered to me here, over $350, and then with the fees as well, it's still going up because I'm going to have to go and get her safety checked as well now. And then obviously you've got the superficial stuff on her as well, which is all the scratches and stuff. maybe a good 600, probably more, to get her roadworthy as well. So it's a lot, you know, it's very expensive to be a biker and then have, you know, your pride and joy taken like that as well, you know. It's literally like forking out for a brand new bike.
For Teenie, it's mixed emotions, but despite coming at a cost, she's happy to have her two-wheeled pride and joy back. During the pandemic, the number of cars on our roads fell for only the second time since World War II. We saved thousands of pounds by parking up our motors. As COVID hit, the DVLA saw a surge in SORNs, which stands for Statutory Off-Road Notification. Trouble is, off-road means off-road. And if any of these cars are found parked on the street, car pound companies like CMG and their long-standing drivers like John will remove them.
We're going to a no-taxed BMW.
I've worked here 18 years and removing the cars from the road. I think it does keep the roads a lot safer and the police could go on to the next job. And we keep on backing the police up to remove these vehicles off the roads.
It's displaying apparently no tax. So the DVLA are asking it to be lifted.
The authorities were alerted to the car and council enforcement officers have authorised the seizure. With no owner and no key, John is forced to attach clamps to this vehicle, which also lacks an MOT and isn't insured.
Once we've got all four on, bring the frame across, lift it up, and it literally complete lift, so it's completely off the ground. Oh, look at that.
Untaxed vehicles cost the Treasury £94 million a year. That's money which isn't being spent on vital services.
Yeah, just bear with me a minute.
John must take great care getting the clamps in position, as the average BMW weighs £3,500.
When we're busy, it can be challenging. Obviously, you go a bit quicker.
Right, I've done this bit, haven't I?
With the car secure in a vice-like grip, John takes photos to show any pre-existing damage. Happily, this car is in the minority. Less than 2% of British vehicles are untaxed. Many of them end up at car pounds like Threadgold, where owners have around 14 days to pick them up.
I've got to do my paperwork, yeah.
Locals are glad to see the back of the vehicle.
I'll say I live here, I just know it's been parked there for a long, long while, so...
Despite decades as a recovery man, John's none the wiser about why so many cars are abandoned and end up at the car pound.
I do think sometimes it makes you wonder why.
A lot of vehicles that are seized, obviously we do end up keeping and crushing. I think a lot of it is, I don't think the people could afford to have them taken back out. Even if it's a nice car, if they can't afford it, they can't afford it.
Somebody would come out and say, yeah, that's stopped there, that's left there because I broke down or the engine went bang. You'd understand it, don't you?
Threadgold is owned by Steve. It's been in his family for years. Today, the yard is full to bursting, and John has to shoehorn the BMW in. Steve is hovering, but not because he doubts John's abilities. His motives are much baser.
I thought you were going out for pasties.
What?
I thought you were going out to get some pasties.
If Stephen winds me up and I wind him up, we just wind each other up. That's all we do. I can't say a lot of it, but...
As for the BMW, nobody came to collect it, so it was sent to the crusher. Following the seizure of an Iveco beaver tail in Manchester,
There we go, another happy customer.
the The owner has come to collect his vehicle and claim his innocence.
Well, the day it got seized, I went down with the documents to collect my driver who was in the vehicle.
Hiya, mate.
And he says it is, in fact, that the system has failed him.
Quite clearly insured, so I pay £18,000. I employ 35 people. We do service, we do MOT, we do body shop, we do recovery. We're a proper garage.
Got your ID with you, please, mate?
All of that makes no difference, and the bills have to be paid.
Right, I need the IV Code Daily Recovery truck out, key on Oscar.
The owner has had to pay for recovery and storage.
Your thing's out there. All right, it's all sorted. Okay. All right, cheers, buddy.
Having settled his bill, he can claim his truck back. And there seems to be no bad blood between the two companies.
You know, I get that people, you know, aren't insured and they're there to do a job, but I am insured.
Next time, things get heated in Northamptonshire when PC Lee deals with a speeding biker.
You're going to court, my friend. That riding is unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. I appreciate you might be frustrated. If this slows you down, this might save your life.
And PC Wilson in Surrey is on the lookout for an attempted murder suspect.
Obviously, attempted murder carries quite a hefty prison sentence, so it's imperative that we seize the vehicle to obtain the best evidence possible.